Hello and welcome. Let's get downloading because in this lecture we're going to be installing Unity Hub, Unity 2021 and Visual Studio Code. The first step in this process is for us to jump into our browser and type in download Unity Hub. Unity Hub, we can then find, it should be the very first link here, download Unity Hub. That will take you to this particular website, which is unity3d.com. And you can find the big green button which says download Unity Hub. Click on that. That will start downloading Unity Hub. Now, what is Unity Hub, you say? Well, I've already downloaded it, so I'll show you. This is Unity Hub. It's a place that you can manage all your various projects you're working on. You can see I've got a bunch here I'm working on, as well as your different installations of Unity. You can have multiple different versions of Unity going on your computer at the same time, which is really cool. And for me, I'm going to be using Unity 2021.1. You don't need to worry so much about the following dot whatevers, but I also have on my computer 2020.2 and some of the older versions. Now, once you've finished downloading Unity Hub, click on the button and follow the installation process. I know you've installed things before, so you don't need me to show you about that. One thing you might come across is at some point Unity might say you need to sign up to be a Unity person. No problems. Go through that sign up process, pop in your email address, whichever one you want to use, and the license you're looking for is the personal license, which is free up until the point where you're earning $100,000. So hopefully you get there really soon, but I'm assuming we're not there just yet in terms of using Unity. So you go through all that process. Once Unity Hub has installed, find and open that, click on the installs button on the left hand side, click on add, and add your very first version of Unity. Now, a couple of things to point out here. LTS stands for long-term support. In general, I always recommend working on a version of Unity that has long-term support. I'm a little bit naughty. I'm working in Unity 2021 at the moment, and it doesn't yet have long-term support, but I'm doing that so that when you're watching this in the future, hopefully it will have long-term support by the time that you're getting to this and working through it. And so once you've selected the version that you're looking for, and I recommend Unity 2021 point whatever is relevant to you at this time, click on Next, and then you'll see a whole bunch of things that we can add as additional modules for this. So at the moment, I've got nothing selected. You might have the Microsoft Visual Studio community already selected. We're going to unselect that because this is the editor we type our code in. We're not going to use Visual Studio Community. We're going to be downloading something slightly different, Visual Studio Code. The reason we're using Visual Studio Code is because it looks the same on Windows and Mac and Linux, and you won't have a problem with having, if you're working on one of the other systems, I'm working in Windows, you won't have a problem with yours looking different to mine. The one other thing I'd recommend adding on here, if you scroll down and find WebGL build support, click on that so that we can install that as well. That means that we can create our games so that people can play them on a website, which is really cool, really neat. Click on that and then click on Done, and then go through that process of installing Unity. So I'm going to click on Done, and then it's going to go through that slowish process of downloading and installing in the one go. So that should all be done from that point of view. So while that's going through that process, let's go grab Visual Studio Code. Once again, type in download Visual Studio Code, or you can click on the link I've given you against this lecture in the resources section. Now, where is that? That will depend upon the platform you're viewing this video in. Our courses tend to be on a couple of different platforms, so it could be over in the right-hand side next to the video or down the bottom underneath the video, depending upon where you're watching it. So find download Visual Studio Code either by typing into Google or by clicking on the link we've given you, and then select your relevant operating system. For me, it's Windows. Click on that, go through this process, it'll start downloading. Once again, wait for it to download, click on the button, go through the prompt, say yes, yes, yes to all of the good things that it asks you want to do, then you'll have that all ready to roll. So while we're downloading and installing, let me give you some context. We're using Unity, which is a game engine. Unreal is another very well-known popular game engine, and we're using Visual Studio Code as our integrated development environment, our IDE. This is a place where we type our code. So what do we get for using a game engine? Well, it's a visual interface for creating games where we get a whole bunch of systems which have existing code we can use, such as a physics system or a rendering system or an audio system, so that we don't have to go and try to code those and create those absolutely from scratch. There's so much of a head start we get by using an engine. And then what is an IDE? Well, it helps us write code to tell the game engine what to do, and it gives us a whole bunch of things like autocomplete or color coding or syntax error checking, so that as we type along, it's like a friendly assistant that'll say things like, hey Rick, you typed that wrong, you bozo, so that you can make corrections. Maybe it won't say exactly that, but you know what I mean. It's going to give you input and guidance as you go along. How do these two interface? Well, when you're creating files in Visual Studio Code, or when we create this, we'll be creating .cs files that work with Unity to tell Unity what to do. So the files that we create that are whatever .cs, I'll be referring to as scripts. Okay, so that's just a quick intro, quick overview of how these things fit together. Good luck with the downloading process. Hopefully it's going quickly for you. And in the next lecture, we'll have a little bit of a play around with the Unity interface so we can start to get our hands dirty. Okay, see you in the next lecture.